Is it live? Oh, okay.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to another live session hosted by Childlink Guyana, where we'll be discussing gender-based violence and particularly the role of men and boys in curbing it. So I'm really happy to have with us here today, Najib. Najib, for those who may not be familiar, would you mind introducing yourself?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Najee Christopher, and I'm 18 years old. I major in civil engineering at the University of Guyana, and yeah, I've been invited to speak up on gender-based violence. So there we go.
It's really great to have you, and thanks so much for taking the time out today. So we'll really be delving into GBV and what it means. So before we even really start the conversation, I think that when it comes to gender-based violence, a lot of people have a very limited idea of what it means. So when you hear GBV, persons think violence, physical violence against women. However, GBV is a much broader definition. What do you think are some aspects of gender-based violence that are often left out in this definition? Okay, Najib seems to be stuck. Okay, yes, we are having some technical difficulties, so please bear with us for a few while we try to get him back in the room.
Yeah.
Hi, Najib. Were you able to hear the question before you cut off?
No, I did not actually. Apparently, our site has blackout, so I got to switch onto data really quickly.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. Yeah, so I was just talking about the definition of gender-based violence and how it's often limited to just being seen as physical violence against women. So how do you think that this definition could be expanded?
Well, it's mostly perpetrated. Well, while the definition is somewhat short, it's mostly gender-based violence is mostly perpetrated by men against women. But I'd say gender-based violence is directed against anyone, whether it be male, female, on the basis of their gender or sex. So, which would in turn later result in physical, sexual, or psychological harm. So while the latter is true, um, there were some aspects that were missing, and that's what previously stated.
Yes, that is certainly true. GBV can be experienced by anyone, and anyone can be a perpetrator of it. And so ensuring that we have a wider understanding of what gender-based violence is, what it can look like, and who can be perpetrators and survivors is very important when it comes to just kind of identifying it and being able to provide support where necessary. So we're moving on, and we're going to touch a bit on beliefs surrounding GBV, particularly in the context of women and girls. What do you think are two beliefs or behaviors that boys can challenge in their daily lives for the safety and protection of women and girls?
Well, beliefs, I would say that, well, guys out there, women are women. Women are human beings just like us, you and me. So the belief that women are subjected to one set of roles in society or are responsible for doing only a specific an oriented role or play a specific part. That belief should not be, because just like us, they play an important role in society. Just like us, they have feelings just like us. They Without them, society would be nothing, and we should be able to treat them and get that belief that just like us, we are all human beings. So I would say that we should avoid making such statements and misogynistic jokes and such like that. Yes.
Mhm. Yes, certainly. Centering the message of equality amongst people is very important in ensuring that we're able to really encourage others to not promote behaviors or beliefs that can be really harmful to those who are vulnerable. So when it comes to being a young person, I know that often we are raised in environments, whether that's home or school or communities, where we learn certain behaviors, certain ways of viewing people. And we can often pick up very harmful beliefs, particularly when it comes to women and girls. So I'm really curious to hear from you about, anything that you as a young man would have had to unlearn over the years regarding the way in which you should view and or treat women and girls.
So can you repeat the last part of the question, the last part?
Yes,
Yes.
I was curious to know what were some things that you as a young man would have had to unlearn when it comes to the way in which you view and treat women and girls.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Thank you very much. Well, anything that I would unlearn, particularly, well, not something that I would unlearn, but like the guys that you that women are not like specifically tools. You should not learn, you should teach yourself that, all right, well, this is not a group of people that you can take advantage of. This is not a group of people that use as tools, or treat them in a way, or treat them in a way retrospect of how you would like someone to treat you. So anything that I would on so some anything that I would tell someone to unlearn is that, well, you do not make certain jokes, you don't make certain comments, you do not uh be in the sense that, okay, I am the better gender, I'm the better sex, I am more dominant in the sense that I can do more things than you can, because you have to realize that while our anatomy is built different, we can still there's still things that they can do that you cannot do. So to get that mentality out of your mind, I would advise someone to, take that away, just unlearn it, and treat them just like how you would want to be treated. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Just kind of moving away from this idea that, we have these very specific roles that we need to play based on our gender. And that's really a large contributor towards gender-based violence. It's this idea that men have certain roles and women have certain roles. So we see things like economic violence within the home, wherein because a man believes he needs to be the sole breadwinner, he might not want his partner to work, controlling their money and just ensuring that they're not really able to survive on their own. And we have things like that, even gender-based violence in terms of child marriages. These are things that are often unexplored, but which is really kind of seeped into our kind of cultural makeup that's very important to shift away from. So when it comes to violence that can often occur within the home, we can hear persons say things such as it's a family matter, you should let them sort it out. How do you think that these beliefs can be really harmful?
Well, I do disagree with it, and I think that they can be very harmful, because let's say, for instance, someone was per se sexually molested, or someone is being abused, and because it's a family matter, they would say that, okay, well, it's within the family should deal with it. While in it, because they don't want to go out and it embarrass the family, to tarnish the name and stuff like that. So they'll try their best to like keep it on the low, keep it, under the wraps, so that no one would know or like criticize them, because how can they let something like this happen? And it should not be like that, because no, they need the necessary help, they need necessary counseling, they need necessary people to come and help them and say, okay, find out the problem. And even if that's the case too, there also could be the fact that the perpetrator can still be at large, can do it again, and then the family would be like, okay, this is a family matter, and this should not go out and such like that. So it really should not be like this, and it can cause serious mental, physical, and physical trauma towards a person who is afflicted by this tragedy.
Yes, I agree with that completely. It's really important that we start viewing GBV as not things like a family matter, but something that really needs to be curbed and persons held accountable persons held accountable for it. So when it comes to
Excuse me.
support that is often lacking for survivors of violence, how do you think that men and boys can really support these survivors?
Well, for one, supporting a survivor of violence requires, let's say, intentional thought and behavior towards recognizing what the survivor needs at any given moment in the recovery phase, right? And the responses of survivors very, very often differ, and it differs from person to person, and maybe given other events of issues over the person's life. So, what would I say? For one, you should listen. Primary things of a survivor of violence needs to do is you sit and listen sincerely. Listen without judging and listen without fixating over what you are going to do or say next. Um, Listen without freaking out or getting, let's say, overreacting to such things like that. Another thing you can do is actually to you give advice. You don't criticize them and say, well, you should have done this or you should have done that. You should actually sit down and pay attention to what they say. You sympathize with them. And then after which you get the necessary help. You guide them. You go with them to the necessary authorities, to the necessary people who do the counseling if they are comfortable with you going. And well, with that, I think that recovery can be recovery can be 100%. They can be as, I mean, it's not something that you can forget or something that you can just sleep over and okay, wake up, I'm back to normal again. This is something that it takes time and time again to you to recover. So I would say once you listen, you do not judge or criticize, and you just get them the necessary help that they need. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just being someone they can rely upon for that judgment-free support and also that kind of practical help that is often needed is very important. So when it comes to the ways in which men and boys can really challenge ideas surrounding the harmful beliefs that often surrounds women and girls, what is some knowledge that you would like to share around challenging these harmful beliefs?
Well, it's referring to the question that you said before, right? I would say I would give the exact same advice. You know that these women, girls, people of the opposite sex are not your tools. You're that okay. You're not superior to them. That you're not the person who's supposed to get everything done, and they're supposed to do a certain role or a certain task in society. Just like you, they are breadwinners. Just like you, they can drive cars. They can be doctors, lawyers, anything they want to be. And they're not a group you should take advantage of. You just treat them the way you would like to be treated. They're not certain they can do, even sometimes they can do way more than you can. And as such, you should, as you would like anyone to treat you, and you should treat everyone else the same. And I do not condone any of these harmful beliefs towards women or any other gender gender or sex in any way.
So I want us to kind of delve a bit more into GBV and some of the specific things that you might have noted in society over the years that you think that we really need to pay a bit more attention to. Was there anything that kind of, raised your interest and like we need to pay more attention to this aspect of GBV? Because, as we mentioned earlier, a lot of this does tend to surround the physical violence, which is very important. But was there any other aspect that you think it was important to really mention?
Oh, based on the topics, I think it's touched everything. But what personally that I've experienced is that, well, it would not be like around the urban areas, more like the rural areas, because where I'm from like way down in the countryside, um, women are not really given the same like job opportunities as men would inside, well, where I'm from, like the area, right? It's not really given the job opportunities, and there are many cases where I come by that women are being abused, men hitting them, they're not allowing them to go work, they're not allowing them to come out and socialize and stuff like that because they think that, hey, this woman, this my woman, and whatever I say or whatever is what I deem that should happen. And while there've been multiple reports, I just think it would be nice to raise awareness to people that indulge in these things, that you should stop it, because as I said before, they're human beings just like us, and you should treat them the same. So yeah,
Thanks so much for that, Najib.
you're
So
very
was
much
there anything that I did not ask you that you feel important to highlight, or any lasting thoughts you'd like to leave with those who are watching?
no, thank you. I think I've touched everything. So yeah, the rest of your afternoon, guys.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us and sharing with us today. It was a good discussion for us to have, and we'll definitely be continuing these conversations as we move forward. Thanks for those who have joined us, and we hope that this has been a helpful segment. Take care.
Okay, you too, guys.